Hey guys, we're here at the Orange Curriculum Hub and I'm going to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes tour. Now, typically when we talk about curriculum, we talk about the what. What is the theme? What is the bottom line? What is the Bible story? But today we're going to focus on the why. Now, you're still going to get the what. You can just get that by going to thinkorange.com/plan. But today, we're going to focus on the why. Why do we plan ahead as far as we do? Why do we have a strategy? And why do we think it's important for you to know what direction the curriculum is going in? So come on, let's go. Come on, this is awesome. This is the Think Orange, I call it the curriculum hub or the curriculum bunker. This is where it all happens. This is a really creative space. And we're gonna go and start introducing you to some people who actually put the curriculum together. So check this out. Our first stop in the preschool area. And let's see. Oh my gosh, Brittany, you're in here. Thank you so much for having us today. What a coincidence that Brittany just happened to be here. How are you today?
I'm great, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, we're doing a little bit of a tour and showing people why we do what we do, right?
Yeah.
So I want to start by asking you, why is preschool? Why is that the most important phase?
Well, it's probably why you came here first, right?
Yes.
So,
plus you have Play-Doh, so.
Well, have fun, yeah. We have a great office, lots of fun in here, but we know that preschool is such an important, maybe the most important phase to lay the foundation for preschoolers in their understanding of who God is, who Jesus is, and how that will shape their understanding, their knowledge, and their life.
Yeah, but these kids are so small and so little, right? I mean, you've got little.
I do. Mine is almost 2 years old, so it's a lot of fun.
You look fantastic and well rested for somebody with a 2-year-old. But why is it important that you even need a scope or a cycle at that phase when they're so young?
Actually, it's super important. So we're teaching our littlest ones important concepts like shapes and colors and foundational pieces that will help you grow when you're teaching them math later in life, and reading and spelling and their alphabet. So all those pieces, it's the same. We want to start preschoolers at the beginning and help them understand that God made them, and then help them to grow into that God loves them no matter what, and then be able to teach them who Jesus is and that Jesus wants to be their friend forever. So by having a scope and cycle, you know where to start and you know where you want to help the preschoolers get to. Again, just as they're growing in their vocabulary and their understanding, we need to be able to build on each block, each piece. And then again, when they move over to the elementary wing, that grows even more with them.
Well, just surreptitiously, I noticed that you have a scope and cycle right here. Can you come and walk us through a little bit?
Yes.
And what I really want to know is, there's a lot of stuff happening here, but what are you most excited about when it comes to all of this?
Okay, if I have to choose just one, maybe three. Okay, I would say I'm most excited that we're gonna start in August and teach preschoolers that God made me. Not just that God made me, but that God made me wonderful. Because He did. He made each and every preschooler unique and wonderful. And we want them to know that God made their head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but also that He made their hair, and He wanted it to be just so. And He made their eyes, and if they're shorter, if they're taller, that God made them, and that is wonderful. And just that foundational piece to grow with them, and to know that God had a purpose for making them. Which is, I would say you scroll into I Love Christmas with preschoolers, because it is their first introduction to who Jesus is, and that He is special, He is God's Son, and just the magic of Christmas with preschoolers. Again, for many of them, it is their first time celebrating and understanding what Christmas is all about, so I love that one.
Who doesn't love Christmas?
Right. Merry Christmas.
Okay, so 3 you said.
Yeah, I got one more. I got to throw in one more. And that's where we move into March and I Can Love Like Jesus, because preschoolers need to know, as they're learning what Jesus did with His life here on earth, that He showed them how to love everyone, and that our preschoolers, no matter how small, how young they are, that they can do great big things, and that they can go out and love others just the way Jesus loves them. And so they can do that on the playground, with their new friends, in the backyard with their siblings, down the street with their neighbors. And it's a great way to help preschoolers know that they can go out and live out their preschool faith and love others like Jesus.
Yeah, I love that. So there is so much happening with all of this. What is, if you have to just pick it down to one thing, what are you hoping that preschoolers take away, or what are you hoping they experience from all of this?
Okay, so from start to finish, I hope that preschoolers fully understand three things. There are three basic truths: that God made me, God loves me, and that Jesus wants to be our friend forever. And to me, that is a win, and that would change the world around us.
Brittany,
So.
you are crushing it.
All right.
Thank you so much for
Thanks.
all of this. And I'm going to be praying for you
Great.
that you get some sleep and all that
All
sort of
right.
stuff
Well,
as
thanks
well.
a bunch. Have fun over there.
See ya. I'm going over now to Dan Scott. Now, Dan is our Director of Elementary Strategy, and he's a really smart guy as well. So we're going to go over here and have a look at what they're doing. Have a look at all this candy. There's so much candy in this little store. There's even more candy in here. Dan Scott.
Hey,
You
how's
happen
it
to
going?
be here. I'm so glad that you are here today. What a coincidence.
What a
Who would have-
coincidence.
Who would have thought during this behind the scenes filming that you would be in here? Hey, we just finished talking to Brittany about this, but I want to ask
Yes,
you, why
she's great.
do you think that the elementary phase is the most
Yeah.
important?
Oh, I mean, it is the most important. Like, let's be straight up honest, like to begin with. Okay, a couple of reasons. First of all, it's like the longest phase of a kid's life where they are in the same, area of your ministry,
Yeah.
like, and they're cognitively aware of that.
Yeah.
6 years is a really long time, and there's actually like 2 mini phases in that time. So you have like younger elementary; they're still enamored by wonder, and they need something a lot more foundational
Yeah.
with how we teach them, the Bible.
Yeah.
And then preteens, they're like discovering and asking questions and really pushing at those foundations. And
Yeah.
so that's why we actually, our scope and cycle, which is what we're talking
Yep.
about today,
Yep.
is 3 years, because then they get every story twice. They get it foundationally,
Okay.
and then they get it through a way that they can like push at it.
So with so much time to spend with this age group,
Yeah.
how do you even decide what goes into something like this? How
Oh,
does
man,
that process work?
That's a great question. Pop over here. We actually have one of our creative boards as we're planning out the 22-23 school year. This is kind of where we're looking, but we have boards like this all over Orange. And we basically, one time, we put every single Bible story we'd ever want to tell anyone onto a board, and then started gathering them, making connections, seeing how the story of God was influencing these different ideas, and then we put them together in different topics, and that's where we get something like this.
Well, there's a lot here.
There's a lot here,
It looks
yeah.
fantastic. What are you most excited about with all of this stuff?
I just said, we have a 3-year scope and cycle.
Yep.
This is actually year 1 of
Okay.
of the 3 years. So,
Okay.
and it's the year that we go through the Bible from Genesis through Revelation,
Yep.
and really see how all of these different ideas, all the different stories, the Psalms, everything, is God's epic love story throughout time, made real through Jesus. And really, helping kids get that. So we're excited. This is going to be a really great, fun year.
That's awesome. So we know in the modern world that families are coming less and less to church. Like, that's what the data is telling us. So what are you hoping that a kid or a preteen takes away from this, whether or not they're at church 20 times a year or even just 2 times a year?
Sure. Well, every one of these, monthly lessons has one big idea that, we want to get at.
Yep.
But we also have basic truths that get recycled throughout the entire school year. And I would say those are probably what I would love for kids and preteens to walk away knowing. And so the first one is, I need to make the wise choice, which let's be honest, we all do.
That's not just for elementary, it's for middle-aged men as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I should treat others the way I want to be treated. So Jesus, his message there.
Another good one.
And then last but not least, I can trust God no matter what. Life outside in the world is crazy, and we want kids to know that they can trust God no matter what their week looks like away from church.
Again, seems like there are 3 great things for adults as well as kids. Dan, as always, killing it. Thank you so much for your time. I'll let you get back to your little fake setup work here.
Awesome.
Appreciate you, Dan.
Thanks.
Dan is probably the most well-dressed man I've ever met in my life. We are now going to go over to middle school, and we're going to talk to Ashley Bohans about what she's got going on at this season as well. Ashley, are you in? Oh my gosh, you're in. I'm so glad that you're in today. Thank you for spending some time with us today. It's good to see you, as per always. Hey, Ashley, I've been asking everybody in every department so far, why is that middle school phase the most important phase?
Gosh.
Or is it even the most important phase?
Dave, let's talk all things middle school. I love this question. Okay. So it's obvious that there's a lot of change happening in the middle school phase. Physically. I mean, we can see them changing from like a kid to an adult.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of change happening that we cannot see. And talking specifically mentally, what's happening in their brains, there's actually like a complete rewiring that's happening in the middle school phase, thanks to a nice thing called puberty. Literally, their brain is rewiring. There's actually so much change in the brain of a middle schooler. There's no other time of life except the toddler years that the brain is changing this much.
Wow.
And one of the biggest changes is the shift from thinking concretely to thinking abstractly, taking what's right in front of them and being able to apply it to a situation that's not necessarily what's right in front of them. And with the ability to think abstractly, you're able to doubt in a different way. You're able to process doubt in a different way. You're able to become more self-aware. You're able to see from another person's perspective.
Yeah.
And hello, what an opportunity that is to influence the faith of a kid, because I mean, there is a lot of, I mean, we can help literally form the inner narrative that they're gonna tell themselves for the rest of their life.
Yeah, wow, you just explained a little bit of a parenting season I went through when my 3 daughters went through middle school. But I also think there's another time when our mind changes that much. I think that's in middle life, midlife. It starts to change a little bit then as well. Hey, I see you've just conveniently got this board up here, which is awesome, because this is actually what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit extra. What is the thing that you're most excited about when it comes to this scope for the next couple of months?
I would say our annual focus. Now, the annual focus is basically the one thing that we're gonna keep coming back to for this entire year of content. You're gonna see it in our messages, in our daily devotionals, in our small group conversations. And our annual focus is asking middle and high schoolers the question, where did you see God today? Because we all want this generation of middle and high schoolers to have an everyday faith, a faith that they see God in their everyday life. It goes with them everywhere, into everything. So we're continually going to be asking, where did you see God today? And sometimes that question's really easy to answer. It's like when things are going great. Other times it's hard to see where God is because life is chaotic, or you see injustice or brokenness or sadness. But we all know that God's always there and God's always working. So we're asking teenagers, where did you see God in your friends today? Where did you see God in your family today? And so we're kicking the year off with a series on the fruit of the Spirit. So if I was gonna break that down for a middle schooler, I might say, hey, where do you see joy today? Where do you see love today? Because the Holy Spirit is transforming us into the character of Jesus, and that's how we can see God working in our everyday life.
Wow, I think that's a question that, wouldn't it be awesome if adults were asking that question?
We all should be, right?
We all should be.
It's been good.
Ash, why is it so important that a middle schooler experiences that throughout this scope? Why is that the thing you want them to take away?
Well, I mean, we've been talking a lot around here about how if we want teenagers to walk away when they graduate high school one day, if we want them to walk away with a faith of their own, an authentic faith, an everyday faith, then we need to help them have an everyday faith while they're with us. Which means, how do they develop an everyday faith when they're outside of the walls of our church, or outside of their small group time, or away from their family? And so we're trying to empower middle school and high school students all year long to look for God in their everyday world and engage with God. Like, have a changing, growing faith, a faith that influences and transforms the way that you love God, love yourself, and love the world around you.
Absolutely love that, Ash. As always, you are killing it as well. I'm gonna leave you to it because I know you got a lot of fake work to do as part of this shoot. Looking very casual too.
Thank you.
Are they sweatpants or something? I can't even tell.
Overalls, thank you very much.
We're gonna go into the high school department now. We're gonna talk to Leslie if she's in here. Let's see. Leslie, so conveniently just happened to be in here. I'm so glad that you're with us today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
That is awesome. So we're talking to all the departments, and we're having a word with each one of them. One of the main questions, or the first questions we're asking is, why is high school the most important phase?
That is a huge question, and I could literally talk about it all day. So you're probably gonna have to stop me, but I'm gonna start here.
Fine.
Yeah, let's just talk about it. Why is high school the most important phase? I think one, because high schoolers influence culture. I think we all can kind of look around and sense that and tell that there's this energy that's happening. There's this ideation that's happening. There's this creation and co-creation with everything around them. They're collaborators, they're producers, and really they're philosophers, right? The philosophers are who influence culture, right? I think I would ask anybody, if you could name pop stars, like who's the Billie Eilish of like 300 BCE?
Well, I feel like we have to Google that now.
Exactly. Okay, but can you name a philosopher from like back in the day?
Socrates.
See, philosophers influence culture, and I just so believe that about high schoolers, just the way that they are processing the world.
That is awesome. First of all, if you're watching along, if you type in an answer in the chat, who is the Billie Eilish of 300 BC, we're going to give you a prize.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but I want to see what your answer might be.
Awesome.
Hey, so if they're so, they're on the cutting edge of, they're setting trends, they're on the cutting edge of culture. What does a youth pastor or what does a student pastor need to do to funnel that influence so that high school student ends up on the other side of it with faith intact?
Yeah, that is a huge word, this idea of funneling or harnessing or helping them process. I think it all comes down to creating engaging experiences and environments where they can have the relationships with trusted adults, where they can do this philosophizing together, where they can ask these questions, break down concepts, just have these trusted relationships where they get to do the work of figuring it all out.
Right, so they should be focusing on those, setting up those relationships, those environments where those relationships can grow.
100%.
And I guess that's a big part of why at Orange, we come up with a scope and strategy and our curriculums to give youth pastors and student pastors the margin to really pour that time into those relationships, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you've got yours here again, very convenient.
Very convenient, on an easel and everything.
So of all of this, what are you most excited about? What's the one thing?
The one thing.
Yeah.
One thing.
One
Do
thing.
you see this whole poster? Okay, one thing. You mean so I can't tell you about like this series about faith and science or this 11-week series that ends with a really big party? I have to just pick one?
Just pick one. Don't tell us about those two other ones.
Okay. Well, if I just had to pick one, I would pick the one collection of talks. They're all about just elevating conversations and how Jesus changes everything when you look at these different topics that are happening in culture. So in the past, we've done topics like vaping, we've done racial tension, we've done words and like how you even have conversations about challenging things like politics or environmental issues, all of that. Well, this year, our culture topics are gonna be bullying. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about anxiety. It's a big one. We're gonna talk about suicide, and we're also gonna talk about media literacy. So this collection, this one collection of standalone talks are like my favorite things.
So that's some pretty deep topics, like very heavy topics you're going in, and you're giving opportunities for student pastors to start those conversations.
Absolutely.
That's pretty amazing. From the end of this cycle, what's the one thing you hope, and I'm gonna say one thing. What's the one thing you hope a high schooler experiences or maybe takes away from this season?
For sure. Okay, I really can do one thing on this. I think the one thing, the one win is if teenagers, high schoolers were leaving these experiences this year, being able to say like, I was consistently challenged and encouraged to wrestle with my faith in a way that didn't say that I had to ignore what was happening in the world or in my community or in my family even. Like I was encouraged to have those conversations so that I can now have my own authentic faith. That's the one thing that we really want.
Wow, that's so good. I would love if all the teenagers had that space and that permission to wrestle a little bit and ask those questions. Leslie, killing it. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
well,
Dave.
there you go, folks. This is the inside of the Orange Curriculum Bunker where all the magic happens. I hope this was insightful for you. I hope it was helpful for you. We've learned a little bit about what's going on in the next scope and cycle and where you're going to be heading as part of your Orange curriculum. So thanks so much for joining us in here. Hope you got to see a little bit of the sense of the creativity, the time and the effort that goes into all of this as well, because it's super important to everything that we do. I'll see you very, very soon. Cheers.